When did you start writing?
I pretty much started writing when I was about your age, a student. I really enjoyed writing scary stories, and kind of took it from there. I don't think I was a particularly great writer though when I was your age, so it took me a long time to improve, and it was just something that I enjoyed doing.
How did you get into writing?
Seriously writing? I only started seriously writing, well, I guess I started in my mid-20s. I tried to write some short stories and I tried to get them published in a magazine. But after I got my very first rejection letter, I put down my pencil and I sort of didn't write again for a long time. Then I turned the ripe old age of 35 and I decided it was time to accomplish something in terms of my writing, and I sat down and I thought, I'm just going to write the story that I've been thinking about for the past 10 years, and I wrote the first draft of my first fantasy novel.
What is your favorite book that you've written?
My favorite book, I always say I have a soft spot in my heart for my first novel, because Shadow of the Moon took me 6 months to write, 9 months to rewrite, 5 years of submitting and revising and getting rejected before I finally got my very first publishing contract. So I have a soft spot in my heart. But usually my favorite book is the current one that I'm writing.
What is your favorite part in Mind Gap?
My favorite part in Mind Gap is the first time the train comes through the tunnel, and the first time he sees that old train. I'm actually old enough to have ridden some of those old Gloucester subways. I think they retired them in the 80s, but I remember riding downtown when it was a big deal to ride downtown, and riding some of those old red Gloucester trains. But again, I had a strange experience with a weird train in Germany, and so I think that writing that scene of the first time that train appears was one of my favorite scenes.
Who is your favorite character in the book Mind Gap?
My favorite character in the book Mind Gap, that's a tough one. I would have to say Jake, because he's the main character and I kind of like the journey that he undergoes.
What is your favorite genre of book to write?
Definitely paranormal. Paranormal with fantasy a second.
How long did it take you to write the book Mind Gap?
Mind Gap took me, as you just saw in the presentation, it took me 6 months to write the first manuscript. However, it did take me about 20 years of thinking about that story to finally get it right.
If you were planning to write another book, what would it be about?
I am right now writing a book. It is a very creepy middle grade, and it is finished. However, I'm in the process of rewriting it, but my mind is always working a step ahead. So the next novel that I'd like to write is either going to be another very creepy middle grade, or I have an idea for what's called a dystopian kind of a trilogy. Dystopian is when you take an aspect of the world today and you almost exaggerate it to the point where it's no longer a utopian but a dystopian society, sort of like along the lines of the Hunger Games. But I think I'll probably just do the creepy middle grade.
Do you like writing or teaching better?
Oh, that's a tough one. I love them both, and I think that they sort of, for me, they both go hand in hand, because I think teaching students keeps me very connected to the age group of the students that I like to write for. I am constantly getting older, but they are not, because when I finish up with one, let's say grade 5 class, I have another grade 5 class, or 6 or 7 or 8. So, and it keeps me very real to be teaching. I don't think that I could write the way that I write if I wasn't teaching. I have no plans of retiring anytime soon.
Thank you so much for coming to Northern Lights.
Thank you so much for having me, and I hope that all the students at Northern Lights continue to write and persevere at whatever their dream or their goals are.